Greetings, all of you, my dear sisters and brothers, and my dear friends, and a warm welcome to all of you from your Pastor Yeti. In the vine, we are now in Withered Branches. If a man abide not in me, he is cast forth as a branch and is withered. And they gather them and cast them into the fire, and they are burned. John 15, verse 6. The lessons these words teach are very simple and very solemn. A man can come to such a connection with Christ that he counts himself to be in him, and yet he can be cast forth. There is such a thing as not abiding in Christ, which leads to withering up and burning. There is such a thing as a withered branch, one in whom the initial union with Christ appears to have taken place, and in whom yet it is seen that his fate was but for a time. What a solemn call to look around and see if there be not withered branches in your churches, to look within and see whether we are indeed abiding and bearing fruit. And what may be the cause of this not abiding? With some, it is that they never understood how the Christian calling leads to holy obedience and to loving service. They were content with the thought that they had believed and were saved from hell. There were neither motive nor power to abide in Christ. They knew not to need of it. With others it was that the cares of the world or its prosperity shocked the word or choked the word. They had never forsaken all to follow Christ. With still others, it was that their religion and their faith was in the wisdom of man and not in the power of God. They trusted in the means of grace or in their own sincerity or in the soundness of their faith in justifying grace. They had never come into the seek and entire abiding in Christ as their only safety. No wonder that when the hot winds of temptation or persecution blew, they withered away. They were not truly rooted in Christ. Let us open our eyes and see if there be not withered branches all around us in the churches. Young men whose confessions were once bright, young women, let me say, let's examine ourselves. But who are growing cold? Or old men, we have retained their profession, but out of whom the measure of life there once appeared to be has died out. Let ministers and believers take Christ's words to heart and see and ask the Lord whether there is nothing to be done for branches that are beginning to wither. And let the word abide ring through the church until every believer has caught it, no safety but in a true abiding in Christ. Let each of us turn within. Is our life fresh and green and vigorous, bringing forth its fruit in its season? Let us accept every warning with a willing mind, and let Christ, if a man abide not, give new urgency to his abide in me. To the upright soul, the secret of abiding will become ever simpler, just the consciousness of the place in which he has put me, just as childlike resting in my union with him, and the trustful assurance that he will keep me. Oh, do let us believe there is a life that knows of no withering, that is evergreen, and that brings forth fruit abundantly. Withered. Oh, my Father, watch over me and keep me, and let nothing ever for a moment hinder the fruitness and the freshness that comes from a full abiding in the vine. Let the very thought of a withered branch, fill me with holy fear and watchfulness. My dear ones, it is so important. And life can bring us in places where we lose track. We are so fragile in our humanity. There are so many things that can happen and drag us away from our life in Christ. Because the world offers also good stuff that we can enjoy, and that's not forbidden. But we have to be very aware and conscious how we walk. Let Christ come closer to your heart, my dear friends. That He loves you. Let Him love you. I give Him everything back, and the desire to have a longing, to have a closer relationship with Him, your shepherd. Blessings to all of you, my dear ones. This is your Pastor Yeti. Have a very good weekend, and we hear each other on Monday. I love you guys. Bye.